Years are going by, and the feature of any camera equipment that becomes more and more important to me is the weight and overall form factor. I have been on a quest to find a gear that best combines performance, image quality, compactness, and today I have a new 35mm full frame lens to talk about. It is the Sigma 35mm f2 contemporary lens. I picked it up already a month ago to see how it can fit in my workflow, and I already used it on 8 different occasions to see what I like and what I dislike about this lens. I bought it with my own money, and no one knows at Sigma that I got this lens, so I can give you my true, honest opinion, mentioning the good, but also the bad without any sort of external pressure. I'm starting to have a decent track record with 35mm full-frame lenses. I still own the Sigma f1.4 DGD-N. I used to have the Samyang Pancake 2.8 that seduced me for its extreme compactness and its low price. Not so long ago I replaced it with the Sony Zeiss f2.8, which is equally compact, quite a bit more expensive, but a better lens in all aspects. And now this 35mm f2 from Sigma kind of fit in between the f2.8 lighter version and the f1.4. My hope when getting this lens was to have something that is light and compact to carry a whole day while being as sharp and as competent as my 35mm f1.4 Sigma. Lately I've been thinking that such a wide aperture on full frame is almost too much for me. I barely use it at f1.4, so I thought that the f2 version will be almost as good when taking occasional portraits and has a talking head lens like I'm recording with it right now, and being light and compact enough for street and travel photography. I'm not someone who's doing technical reviews comparing distortion and 400% zoomed in images. When I talk about gear, just to explain how I like it or dislike it considering my style of shooting. Lenses have become so good these days, so I think it's easier to talk about things that I don't like first and that could be a deal breaker for me. Doing so, if you can relate to me and my style of shooting, you can quickly understand what did not click and decide whether it would be a good pick for you too. As a photographer who shoots mostly street and travel, there are 3 characteristics, 3 elements that I don't really like when a lens is too heavy, when a lens has uncontrolled or unpleasant flare or ghosting, and last, when a lens is not resistant, lacking any sort of weather sealing and just looking like it will break apart easily. So starting off with the weight, when a lens is too heavy or too bulky, it could be the best performer ever. I will not bother taking it with me, and I know it will spend most of the time in the bag not taking any photos. Probably the best way to take good photos and make progress is taking as much deliberate photos as possible, and the way you can make yourself doing so is by having gear that reduce the amount of friction to the minimum. That's why compact cameras like the Fuji X100 and the Ricoh GRs gained in popularity recently, I guess. So the Sigma 35mm f2 is a lens that I would consider being just light and compact enough to carry a whole day. It can be a very good travel lens too, because 35mm focal length is very versatile, but also as a secondary lens in your bag because it is compact, light, and it's very cylindrical, so it will fit in any sort of pockets. The build quality on this lens is absolutely crazy in my opinion. It is from their contemporary line, which is supposedly less premium than the art lenses, but I prefer the look and feel of this 35mm f2 over the f1.4. It is built like a tank, fully made of metal, which makes it quite heavy for the size. It's really a dense lens, and I know it sounds weird said like that, but it really is. I have used other lenses that are same size or even a bit bigger while being a fair amount lighter. A full metal construction looks and feels good, that's for sure, and I guess it helps with the durability, but plastic can be also an advantage in some situations, especially when it comes to make a lens a bit lighter. It still balances pretty well when paired to my Sony a7 IV, making the whole package just short of 1 kilo at 985 grams. Would be maybe even nicer on an a7C II, sparing another 145 grams. Definitely a lot better than the f1.4 version. I can really picture myself using this lens, this setup a whole day without any sort of issue, but still the Sony Zeiss f2.8 version is on another level in terms of lightness. The Sigma is 325 grams and the Zeiss 120, so it's less than half. When you use the Sony Zeiss, it really feels like you're carrying the body only. It's really light as a feather. Just before moving to the next point, I want to quickly compare the same equivalent setup on full frame and APS-C, because if you do the math, a 35mm f2 on full frame has the same shallow depth of field as a 23mm f1.4 on APS-C. Actually, the APS-C setup is more like a 35mm f2.1 equivalent. So the reason I'm mentioning this is that recently I've been tempted to switch over APS-C gear, but if we look at Fujifilm's 23mm f1.4 lens, we notice that it weighs 375 grams. Given that an X-T5 is about 40 grams heavier than the Sony a7C II, the overall package for the same field of view and depth of field is heavier on APS-C. So yes, in general, full frame gear is heavier, especially when it's paired with f1.4 lenses, but if you try to match focal length and bokeh, you notice that it's almost the same. same. That was a pretty curious finding I did when working on this video, and something that will probably prevent me from being a victim of gas and buying a whole new set of APS-C gear. I found that interesting and I wanted to share that with you. I just want to take a minute before moving on to the next point to thank today's video sponsor, Skillshare. 35mm is a great all-rounder focal length that many people use for street and documentary photography. Even though these terms have plenty of interpretation, I do consider myself as a street photographer. That said, I've been leaning towards trying to make the streets look beautiful with an approach oriented more towards aesthetics. With a 35 and a Ricoh 28mm that I also own, I want to get better at the documentary aspect of street photography, and this class held by Andre D. Wagner was very interesting and super insightful. I love his work, and Skillshare is the only platform where you can see him do his things behind the scenes, so you really have the best perspective to learn directly from the man himself. I highly recommend watching his class on Skillshare, and you also have plenty of other classes talking all genres of photography, from taking the photos to editing them on Lightroom or Photoshop. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, photography, design, productivity, and a lot more. Skillshare can help you taking your career, your skills, hobby, or passions to the next level. Every time we go in the city on the weekends with my wife, we always go around this guitar shop, and I always joke about me getting a guitar that day. It's only half a joke really, because I will eventually pick up a guitar one day and I will follow a learning path on Skillshare, one of their unique value proposition. Learning paths are curated, sequential class collections to master a specific skill or competency that help turning, in my case, the I want to be able to play guitar one days to I can play guitar. The first 500 people to use the link in the description will get a 1 month free trial of Skillshare, so don't wait any further, join the community and dive deeper into your hobby or passion, and thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video. I like shooting against the light, not all the time, but that's a recurring pattern in my style of shooting. I don't mind a certain amount of flare in my pictures. I have the Fujinon 35mm f2 lens for my XE4, and the lens technically suffers from being subject to flare, but I find it very pleasing and somewhat coherent. So you can actually play with it and have very good results, but what I don't like is when the flare is all over the place, creating some rainbow washed out flare on the frame, and also when it's very different from one situation to another. Sometimes you don't have clear streams of flare, but end up with some sort of ghosting and a complete loss of contrast all over the frame. That's also a deal breaker for me. So the Sigma 35mm f2 in that regard is very good. The flare is very controlled to the point that I would have liked it to have a little bit more character, just like my Fuji lens, but I can complain. There is also no ghosting or loss of contrast when shooting against the light, so that's a good point. Where it is not perfect though is on the fringing. In Japan there's a lot of power lines everywhere, and what usually comes behind the power lines when taking a photo is the bright sky, so you can end up with some purple fringing in some situations, especially when it is overcast. You can correct that in post. The automatic feature in Lightroom doesn't help a lot. You have to adjust manually, which can also reduce the saturation of the purple elements of your frame, not only where there is the fringing. That's a shame, but luckily there's not a ton of purple in my photos usually, and I always tend to desaturate them anyway, but that's something to keep in mind if you don't like dealing with fringing. The last thing I don't really like is when the lens is not resistant as a whole, and also not resistant to raindrops or dust. When I do street photography in my city, I don't mind it too much because I usually go out with an umbrella, and your gear being weather resistant does not really matter as long as you keep it safe from the rain shooting under the umbrella. But when I travel, if it's not raining too hard, I'd rather wear a coat and a cap or a beanie or something, because I don't like to mess with umbrella on trips, so having weather resistant gear is nice. I remember last year in Italy it was raining during one day and I had to use my Sigma 24-70 big zoom lens instead of my Samyang 35 f2.8. My back and my neck were not happy about that, but it would not have been a problem with the Sigma 35 f2. It is dust and splash resistant, so it should not be an issue to shoot under light rain without an umbrella. I did shoot with it once when it was raining quite hard and I was not really careful with my umbrella, and it got pretty wet, but everything's fine. To conclude on the build quality, it is again one of the most beautiful lenses I had in my hands. It has a clickable aperture ring that is pretty much on par with Fujifilm lenses when it comes to this satisfying feeling you get when spinning it around, but quite often I actually end up setting it on A and use the front dial to adjust my f-stop. It is a faster way to adjust your aperture, easier when shooting videos and better for fast-paced environment, but when not in a rush, this aperture ring is delightful. That leads me to the little plus, the little features that were not deal breaker or deal maker for me, but nice to have. The aperture goes up to f22. There is certainly a loss of quality past a certain f-stop, but f22 is good to have, especially for video when you are on a pinch, not having ND filters. It can help keeping your shutter speed in check to maintain that cinematic motion blur, but also for photos, again, if you don't have an ND filter, you can bump up that aperture to f22 and play a little bit with motion blur. On top of the satisfying aperture ring, there's another nice design feature. The lens comes with a standard Sigma plastic lens cap, but you also get in the box a very nice metal magnetic lens cap. It's easier to place on the lens and way more satisfying than these squeaky plastic ones. The close focus distance is also quite short, 27 centimeters, so if you use the APS-C crop mode, you can really get nice close-up shots. Not something I would use for my street or travel photography, but very useful when shooting videos and taking thumbnails for YouTube. So we've come all the way here without even mentioning image quality or autofocus speed and accuracy. Like I said in the intro, almost all recent lenses are sharp enough, and certainly Sigma lenses are. They are quite famous for that. If we talk about autofocus, pretty much any lenses on a recent Sony camera body will be good enough. There are some that are better than others, but even the worst ones like the infamous Sony 50mm FE is good enough for street and travel, definitely. The Sigma lens is way better than that, of course. Probably not the best on the market, but at this point I think we are splitting hair. I haven't felt any frustration with autofocus when using this lens, even when playing and shooting photos of my nephew. The tracking focus was not perfect when I used it as a way to focus and recompose, but like I said before, the eye tracking focus was absolutely flawless when taking photos of my nephew playing and going all sorts of direction. About image quality, rather than showing you like zoomed in images, I preferred showing you a wide variety of shots so you have a clear idea of how it looks and how it performed in different situations. Still, to add a little comment, it is extremely sharp and you really get that crispiness in the images. More important than the actual sharp edges of the elements in your frame, the micro contrast is something I really like and generally look for. Before jumping on that lens, I was using the Fujifilm 18-55 kit lens for quite a while. I criticized it for lacking a little bit of sharpness and micro contrast in some situations, and this Sigma 35 almost felt like it was too sharp and having too much clarity, but I think it is because I was coming from a lens that was lacking a little bit in that regard. At least with the Sigma you have all the sharpness and the clarity that you want, and you are free to use editing tricks to reduce the clarity or place diffusion filters on the lens to reduce a little bit the sharp edges. Overall, I'm quite happy with this lens. I think it is a good value for money. It is a beautiful object. You have a beautiful lens that can take nice photos in all sorts of situations. I still wish it was maybe 50 gram lighter with a bit less fringing. I just noticed that I forgot to talk about vignetting, and it has a decent amount of it, but here the Lightroom profiles work well and you can get rid of it very easy. I am not an event or wedding photographer, so definitely the f1.4 is not really needed for me. I will sell the f1.4 and keep the f2 for now. The little frustration I have is that if it was 50 or 75 gram lighter, I could also get rid of the Sony Zeiss f2.8, but I think I will keep both for the moment and maybe reassess in a few months. I hope this video gave you valuable insights. Gear reviews is something that I actually enjoy doing, especially when done with my perspective and talking about that lens or that camera equipment, how it fits in my workflow. I find these kind of videos a bit more useful, but if you want more scientific, more objective tests, you know where to find them on YouTube. And yep, that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching and see you next time. Bye.